So my name's Damian McKern. I'm an accountant and financial planner. We also do a little bit of finance and insurance as well, but generally we give holistic business advice. A team about 35, and we do a lot of work with James and Sydney through our office as well. I met James about 15 years ago through a lawyer that I did a lot of work with. For a variety of reasons, James ended up parting company with him and starting his own practice. And we have utilised James ever since. I also use him personally, and I've just found him to be a great human and a really good lawyer. What I particularly like about James is he's sensible in terms of his pricing, but he gives real advice. So as opposed to giving legal advice. So there's an element of legal and an element of practical. And we try to do that as a business too, helping people work out solutions to problems in a practical, cost-effective manner, which is what I've always enjoyed. Solving people's problems that way. And look, James has helped me with a lot of stuff of my own, and he's always done it in a timely manner as well. I personally get a lot of value out of using James as a sounding board. I'm thinking about this, or I'm thinking about doing that. What are your thoughts? Because of his practical, common sense approach to things. I also find a lot of lawyers are pretty legalistic. They're quite happy to have conflict with other people, where James is pretty big on working collaboratively with other people. So how do we get the best outcome for everyone? And that has a lot of value to the clients I work with, who are mums and dads, and they just want to make sure things are done properly, not lawyers at 10 paces, so to speak. I think that being on the Gold Coast for a long time does help, because you're aware of who does what on the Gold Coast. But I'm finding most of my clients that have dealt with James for a long time have seen the coast has grown, things have changed. But James's personality and the way he deals with people hasn't. His values and ethics have remained solid despite being in a location that's not always the case. And he's managed to build a team, particularly with Sydney, that have a like-minded approach. So on the Gold Coast, there are a lot of people with a good moral compass. James and Sydney are very much some of those people. I talk to a lot of people who don't feel they need legal advice, but sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And I think talking to James and Sydney in particular, who are very knowledgeable as far as the law, but can convert it into plain English that most people can understand, is really valuable. I've had a couple of matters recently where people have gone down a pathway with a conveyancer or a different lawyer, haven't really understood some of the pitfalls they face. James and Sydney have identified them very quickly and have helped people work through them and rectify them in a cost-effective manner that hasn't caused the angst that it may otherwise cause. So I do suggest that people generally have a conversation with them first, and I believe that that's a no-obligation conversation, and I really haven't had anyone call me back and say these guys didn't know what they were doing or we didn't get a lot out of that, and that speaks volumes.